So what I've been doing is I've been looking at town as a whole. And I haven't finished, but I think having the assessors in here is a good idea. I was gonna ask for that at some point after I finish looking at this, but here's some of the numbers that I found, just to share this very quickly. Uh, We have 88 properties whose value actually went down in Hillsborough. Okay, 51 went down by 10% or less, another 51 by 20% or less, 73, 30%, 62 went down
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda for December 9th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to accept the manifest for December 9th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Laura, that camera's not on at all. The light should be on white, that's when it's recording.
What's that?
I said the LEDs should be on white when
Yeah.
it's recording.
I don't know why it's not.
Right if it's muted. But
This is muted. I press
I'll
this.
stay and we can look at it after the meeting, try to see if we can.
And it worked, we tested it already. It must be shy because there's so many people here.
We all set? Did you sign? One more minute.
So what do you talk about? You said the revenues from this. Yeah.
Being 6:30, I'll open up the public hearing on fee schedule update. I'm gonna go over it, or do you want me to just, make it?
Does everyone have a copy? Do you have any copies for everyone?
Can I get a copy of the
Changes?
fees?
Yeah.
These fees,
I have it online.
they offset the taxes. And it's just, part of what, towns do. Every town around us does the same thing. And we're just trying to keep up with, the current, we haven't raised these, fees in quite a while. I don't know exactly when, but, we're just trying to keep them current. All right. Anything else you want to add to that at all? Anybody here? No? All right, I will start.
Go ahead.
Taking comments from the public. We just need to make sure you state your name so we have it in the records, and one person at a time so we can understand what the questions are.
Can I
Go
say,
ahead, Len.
before we start,
Oh.
can I say something?
Sure.
Two things about this. First of all is, we got this at the end of our last meeting. And just as an FYI, this is new fee schedule. I would have thought that we would have gotten this and had a chance to discuss it amongst the four of us before we presented it to the public. So we understood why everything was going up, and to be able to voice either our concerns or our saying maybe we shouldn't, because to be honest with you, I think the timing of this is awful. I mean, people are gonna get their tax bills within the next few days, and most of the people in this room, I would bet, their taxes are gonna go up by a significant amount. I know mine have. And to add this, besides that, it seems like a bad idea to do this at this point in time. Again, that's my feeling on
But
this.
if we're adding revenue, then that's gonna affect the tax.
But the tax rate is set.
But
It's not
this
gonna
is-
change.
This is for
This is not
construction.
gonna change that tax rate.
That's right, but this is for construction, so this is gonna be added into whatever construction they're paying for.
I understand that. I just think the timing is poor. I just don't see it being a good idea to do this at this point in time. But we should have had this discussion before tonight, not tonight. It doesn't seem, but anyway, I thought
I did bring up you, I did tell the board that this was coming throughout the year. We said that we were working on updating
right,
the
but
fee
we should
schedule.
have, my feeling is we should have discussed it before it came to this, so that we could have talked about it. But anyway, I said what I had to say.
Open
We
it.
can do the public thing.
So, okay, like I said, Larry?
Perfect, thank you. Larry Baker. Thank you, Rich, because I was gonna say some of those comments right there, that this is probably not the best time, just because of the tax bills hitting and all that. The one thing too, which Ira said, which is great, yeah, there's a bunch of these hitting on the building permit side, but it's also the transfer station. So people that are needing to, deal with their own day-to-day stuff, with their own trash and all that, and what needs to be disposed of. I guess my comment/question, which you may not have the answers considering the board hasn't had a chance to discuss this amongst themselves, is what was the analysis that brought us to these rates? And how do we make that decision? Meaning as the town that this is what we're gonna go for.
As far as the transfer station, mattresses in Box Springs are $40, they're now 10. No longer can be put in the trash, so that means we have to figure out how to get them to wherever they gotta go, and I believe it's Massachusetts.
Gotcha.
So it's gonna cost us more than $10 a mattress to ship it to Massachusetts. I'm assuming that's the same thing with air conditioners and Freon. Demolition looks like it's, you know, you gotta get somebody to come get those.
Sure.
And I'm sure everybody's raising their price to haul away trailers of construction debris. So as far as the fees for the transfer station, I think those are fairly.
Can I just
Yeah.
restate what I'm saying to make it a little
Yeah.
more concise? It's really, I just want to understand what was the analysis done to get to these prices. I think that probably plenty of people are going to be asking, how did the town pick these prices? And if there was some statement of how we reached them, that might be helpful.
I mean, a lot of these prices at the transfer station have increased, and we're just getting around, we've been eating the increase prior to this, and this is what we're currently paying, and we need to get it up to speed. It's always changing in the recycle market. I mean, mattresses, we used to be able to send them away to Pennacook, throw them on top of our trash and we send them. $10 was a reasonable rate. We can't do that anymore. We didn't make that up. You can't get rid of them in New Hampshire anymore. They have to be recycled. So in turn, they have to get shipped to Massachusetts. And any other, that's where these all come from. Increases to our cost that we need.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, Ruth Murphy, to kind of tie into what he's saying, I had exactly the same question. How did you come to that dollar value? What was the analysis behind it? Was it everyone is paying outside the area this amount, and we will go with what everyone else is charging? Or is it the case of everyone is charging this higher amount, we're gonna bring it down a little bit and charge, and since we have not increased it, it looks like a lot to the residents, but this is a reasonable amount compared to what other towns are doing. That's the analysis I would like to see, right? Some of these things look like they increased by 30%, 50%, maybe even over 100. So that is, again, timing. You're changing our assessment, doing the taxes, and now we get a letter that says, oh, and by the way, your transfer fees are gonna go up, your construction expenses are gonna go up. You could have timed that a little better. I get you haven't raised it in a while. I completely get that. But perception is, that's how you get people to be okay with it. Right now, I don't know of anyone of my neighbors who's okay with all these changes that are impacting them, especially because there's so many people on a fixed budget, plus the economy, add all that other stuff in. So I get it, you gotta make the money. Where's that money going? Why does it have to get increased? That's the things I think people wanna know.
The money offsets, the revenue, it brings in revenue. So it offsets your taxes.
Okay.
It might not do it this year, but it'll keep that rate,
Tax rate
steady.
down. Okay.
If we don't increase them, we would have to turn around and increase the taxes. So we're just trying to get ahead of it, to keep it as fair as possible. A lot of the transfer fees are out of our control. Is it what you can, it costs you to
All the stuff.
haul the stuff away.
Right.
And over the years, we've been doing our best. Trucking fees are the biggest culprit of anything you have. It's why you reduce so many things at the transfer station as far as, plastics and all that. It just doesn't pay to, it costs too much to truck them somewhere, and what you get from the recyclables, it doesn't outweigh that cost. Aluminum, which we, on the boards, you see it every month. Angela puts up,
Saved.
What that trailer full of aluminum brought us in, that brings in revenue, and that keeps all the prices down,
Okay.
And also, we have a solid waste advisory board as well as our transfer station manager. Transfer station manager monitors the expenses and how much things are changing, trucking fees, the fact that now motorcycle tires are bigger than they have been, and now this whole changeover with mattresses. I mean, that's crazy. And, you know, there's a $35 fee to haul these units off, and I don't know how many are gonna be in a unit, depending how many they can fit, on top of now the fee to get rid of them. And so the transfer station fees, you know, if you don't ever bring your mattress in, or your tires or whatever, if we don't have the fee structure, and maybe the town decides they don't want a fee structure on that, every taxpayer, so our revenues, as they were saying, offset our taxes, our expenses. And the more we can offset those expenses, the less it costs for you as homeowners, taxpayers. So the transfer station manager stays on top of those. That's really the department that you'll see more changes, you know, consistent changes, whether or not, and only because it's a volatile market usually. Building permit fees, those are something that, you know, all of our expenses of our building department changed. They offset that department a little bit. I think we took in, like, as of October, I want to say it was $45,000 at this point, but they help in the long run, and they help, they're really user fees. So if you're not building or you're not building something, but I'm gonna build a whole house, do you want to pay for my inspections, things that I'm doing? And as Selectman Pelletier mentioned, and it is coming, usually we do feedings maybe at the end of the year, if we're gonna do them. Sometimes we try to do them in the summer. But, you know, paper for copies has gone up considerably. But not many people come in for copies. If you wanna come in and have copies of your personal property, we don't charge you for that. You're a taxpayer, we're not gonna charge you to make copies. But if someone comes in and they want copies of things, we do charge, because we have toner, we have paper, we have this and we have that. So, you know, it definitely looks like a lot, and maybe the board will decide it is. But we would be really not doing our job in trying to help keep that town portion of the tax rate as level as we can, which gets harder every year if we didn't look at everything. So, and that's where that analysis comes in, our expenses and what is changing.
It's Ruth Murphy
Hold
again.
on. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's a follow-on question, really, for the analysis. Is that documented somewhere, how the analysis was done? Like, for example, I mean, I obviously, like the gentleman, I don't understand all this. I go get a building permit. I pay for the permit. What am I paying for? Am I paying for somebody's salary? Am I paying for someone to drive over? Am I paying for an expert who has certifications? That's the things that I don't understand. What am I paying for? Is that documented somewhere in town records, public records somewhere? That's what I would like to see for these fees is, okay, you've increased it. Why was it increased? It's increased because we have extra shipping costs. We now have to move stuff to Massachusetts. That's what I think would be good for everyone to at least have access to.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the building permits, you know, when you get a permit, it does cover the inspector, you know? He's out at your house, I don't know how many times, you know, in that inspection. And that fee, you know, covers all that, you know,
Right.
he does multiple inspections. So it just offsets the expenses we have for him.
Right. You showed up once, just for the record.
Yeah,
From my
depending on
particular
what-
case,
Depending on
yeah.
what you're doing.
Right,
you
right,
know?
right.
It doesn't cover
depends.
100%.
But we're paying for an expert who's certified.
Yeah.
That's what this, my permit is paying for.
Right.
I have a question, Ian Thayer. Can we see the expenses? We can?
So, yeah, you can
Do.
come in and look
Yeah.
at any invoices you want, any registers you want. The budget shows line items for each department, how much we budgeted, how much we expended, we have all of that.
Can I just add one comment on his, and this is just for somebody who works in towns?
Yep.
If you want that information, submit a 91A request, because there you'll outline what you're looking for. It gives the town time to
Specific
compile
time.
the information you're looking for, so that way they're not
Yeah.
running around
Or
trying to
they-
find everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have a question about,
just state your name, please.
oh, yeah, sorry, Andrew Freisinger. So if I need to replace a roof on a shed and the shed is under 200 square feet, do I need to pay the $75 for replacing the roof? Or how about if I thought, okay, this shed is salvageable, so I need to destroy it, there's a demolition fee down here, do I have to pay for that if and for a shed under 200 square feet? I guess I'm confused as to if these will apply to me.
So you can, that's what the building inspector's for. You can,
I was thinking.
inquire with him and ask him those questions, and he'd be able to give you those answers on what is done.
I think
Well,
if you're
I mean,
under
if I-
200 square feet, you don't.
I'm
need
just
to-
saying, I
to
can,
build
so,
it.
to build it,
Yeah.
you don't need to pay that fee according to the bylaws.
Right, if it's under
So-
200
Right.
square feet.
Yeah, and I would be doing the work myself,
Right,
you know,
right.
because I can
Right.
remove something. But if I decided, oh, this thing's too rotten, would I have to pay the fee to, I guess I'm just wondering how these apply to a shed under 200 square feet.
I don't believe they do.
Yeah, I don't
but-
think they're gonna apply to
Okay.
that.
All right,
But you can call Mary tomorrow just to double check. She works in
Yeah.
it more.
all right.
But, the demo is mostly, gotta make sure that there's no hazard, there's no lead paint,
Yeah.
there's like, it's an older one, but, DES, you have to make sure that that's, and if you haul it off.
Yeah,
But other than that, I'm gonna say no, but I don't look in it every day.
okay.
Anybody else, other questions pertaining to the fee schedule? Yes, Rashay?
Thank you, Rashay, for the, for the recording. So I have a few things. Jim, when you opened up public comment, you opened it up saying the explanation for these price increases was because other towns have increased their fees and other towns are higher than us. And, there's a few things on that. One, when Selectman Peltier spoke, he didn't know that that was the reason. He said that wasn't discussed among the board. So you made a statement that sounds like it was a blanket statement on behalf of the board. Second, other towns were not the fourth highest paying tax rate in the state like we have been.
That's right.
So our taxes are paying for the building inspector to be doing his job, and the fire chief as well, because some of these pertain to some of the, or in the past, they pertain to the job that they both do together with the inspections. So, given that we were the fourth highest, and I don't know where we fall right now because the state's not done calculating all the taxes, we're paying taxes for these things. But to say that we're increasing fees so that we can be like other towns, that's not a valid excuse to increase our tax rates even more, because it is increasing our tax rates. Now it's on an individual basis. So I don't think that that's appropriate, especially given the fact that we still need to look at the assessments. And then my understanding is that under RSA 41(9)A, the authority is given to the select board to increase fees. The authority, I do not believe, and I do not understand it, is being given to the town or the town administrator to increase fees. So it's the select board that is supposed to be discussing the fees and the select board that's supposed to be approving them. So unless you guys had that meeting or you had an illegal meeting, you guys have not discussed any of these fees and have not come up with a decision as to where you're gonna go with these fees, but yet these fees have been published at a public hearing. So I think we're putting the cart before the horse on this one. I think
Well,
that there
that's
should have
what,
been more
that's what
discussion.
we're doing tonight. We're discussing the fees.
I
And
say
we'll
no.
take the public comments, okay? And then, we're not, these fees aren't set in stone. We're gonna discuss them, and if we feel they're too high, we're gonna change it. We depend on our department heads to come up with these fees. We don't come up with the fees, okay? Maybe I misspoke about saying that because of other towns are higher than us, that's why we should raise fees. That was probably my mistake, okay? That's not what I meant. We just gotta keep up with current figures and try to offset the taxes and these processes before, we're not, no, so we'll, you know, we'll look at all those. And like I said, that's what the public hearing's for. We're here to hear your public comment. We'll take it under advisement, okay? These fees aren't set, you know, in stone. We can change these fees,
Can I finish?
you know?
May I finish?
Sure,
My
go
last-
ahead.
Okay, so one other point that was being discussed here, you've shared that you've gotten information from the Solid Waste Commission, maybe, I'm not 100% certain, but the transfer station, sorry, I was trying not to call it a dump, the transfer station. I attend many of the select board meetings, and to my knowledge, you guys don't look at any of the financial statements at these meetings, so I'm curious as to how you would know that our costs have increased if it's not being discussed and reviewed and available for the public to see at the selectmen meeting. So how is it that you're aware of this and have been able to speak on behalf of the board that the costs have increased? Because I believe Ira said the same thing, that the costs have increased. It's not discussed at select board meetings, so where is this being discussed? Are you guys having other meetings that we aren't aware of?
No. You know, it's what, our conversations with our department heads, it might not be at a meeting, but it might be in passing. One thing with the mattresses, you know, why are we increasing them? And we asked that question, okay? It might not have been at a public meeting, but that's why we're bringing it up now, so you know what it was. We didn't come up with these figures. Our department heads keep track of them, okay? We don't keep track of them, all right? We have to rely on them for the information. And that's why we have that down here for that particular one on the mattresses. That was the explanation we had for that one, the highest one.
So
So-
is it,
Clarify
is it,
that when you talk to someone with a one-on-one, you said it's not a public meeting, it's not like they're all going out.
Right, no, we're not, you know.
talk to
but is that standard operating procedure that you're gonna go, that the select board would go to the department heads and talk to them as opposed to going to your town administrator and having your town administrator have these conversations and sharing that with you at a meeting?
No, we don't go we don't have illegal meetings, we don't have meetings, we don't all as a select board go to all our department heads and discuss, you know, things. Everything that they bring to us, we do in public. You know,
I believe for the mattresses, we did talk about it at a meeting a few months ago. We were told that the price went from $10 to $40 because it could no longer be placed with our regular trash. We all knew that, and I believe that was discussed at a meeting,
Thank you.
just so everybody knows that, you know.
do you have any other?
I have a question.
Questions?
I don't know the department heads. Are they here now?
No.
Two of them.
So you guys are having a conversation about fees for the department heads and they're not here to explain themselves.
Well, our transfer station manager is out right now. Our building inspector is on the department head, but he is also works for another community on Tuesdays. We only have him 4 days a week.
Okay.
So, and town office would be me. You're stuck with me on that.
Any other questions from the public?
I wanna know, my name's Kim.
Oh,
Louis.
go ahead, speak.
Why
up.
do we have the fourth highest tax in this little town?
that's-
Nobody knows.
We
No,
did last year, not now.
not now. Now it's gonna go down.
I don't know that.
So we'll only be the second highest.
Anything else on, referring to the fee schedule?
Joseph Demons. So I want to understand. Aluminum is being sold, obviously. You said
Yes.
it's being posted. Is that as well as whatever goes in the metal bin? I'm assuming the metal's being sold as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how about scrap batteries? Because they go out of there by the pallet. People drop them
The
off. and
batteries?
They have a lot of value to them. Lead acid batteries have a lot of value.
Yes, our select board member.
I will, you know, these are all questions we can bring up.
The batteries.
And my other question, just,
You
I
don't sell them.
don't want to sound, just for, because I guess I need to come up to speed, but the transfer station was paved. Why did we pave that? And how much did that cost the taxpayers to pave that transfer station? Because I have a problem with the tax rate, and maybe this isn't the problem to address it, but I have storm drains from the town and that school dumped on my property, and half of my property is not even usable because it's storm drain water flooding my 2.2 acres. That's a problem. So the value of my property, land and building and structure, you're way off on the land because half of it's not even usable. And I guess $10 for a mattress to $40, I get it. Trucking's expensive. I drive a truck. I get it. But really, $30 we went up on a mattress? I mean, granted, I don't buy a mattress every year. You know, but you see why people are outraged and you're dumping this in everybody's lap when you whacked us with a tax rate, the 4th highest tax rate in the state. And for what? And how about, I can look back to the school, how about greenhouses?
We have nothing.
I understand what you're saying, but $100,000, $100,000 plus for a greenhouse, where did that come
That's
into the
something we
picture
have
for
no-
any of these taxpayers?
That's something that's a school budget, that's a school, and has nothing to do with.
Well, but I address it here because a third of my taxes goes to a school. That, by the way, I don't have any
And
children.
we have no jurisdiction over the tax rate at the school, okay? That's something you have to take up with the school.
There's a big problem in this town, a huge problem. Stuff needs to get approved. I don't know. This, we can go on forever. How about this project, this housing project down here? That turned into a joke too. You know, it stinks here in Hillsborough. I've been here 18 years, and the tax rate is just crazy. I won't speak for everybody else, but I'm at almost $8,000 a year of a property that I can't even use half of. It's a joke. I'm done.
Chemo Murphy, I agree with him 100%.
Hold on.
Last time they did taxes, right, it was under the cover of night,
Hold
not like this.
on. Can you state your name, please, so we have you?
Chemo Murphy,
What was it again? I didn't get that.
Chemo Murphy,
Yep.
Hillsborough, Summer Street, 23 years. Same thing, every time we turn around, you're upping our taxes. You know, that's why you guys don't have these meetings, right? You do them under the cover of night. I don't have kids go to school too, and when they pull those two fast ones, you know, it's outrageous. And now this nonsense. We've had enough.
If you look back at the last
What
10
town do you
years,
live in?
I live here. I have to live here.
Okay, when did you
Okay.
move here?
40 years ago. Okay? 40 years ago. If you look back at our tax rate in the last 10 years, it's stayed just about even for the town.
I don't care.
But that's what it is.
You know,
It's
I
not
don't
the
care.
town.
Tax. We're done with it.
It's not the town.
Yeah.
The town is keeping your tax rates down. Okay?
We're done with
You
it.
have to take it up with the school.
Yeah.
Wrong meeting,
Town employees don't get paid.
okay?
Yeah, okay.
They did in their town, too. They can't even read them.
What did we say just now?
Should go back to this town too.
I said the building inspector doesn't live in this town, the town administrator doesn't live in this town.
And what
There's
does that
town
have to do
department-
with
That has
anything?
nothing to do with the
Those that
fees.
are making the decisions to increase fees, the building
These three
inspector
right
has.
here make the decision.
Great, make a
They don't
decision
make
not.
decisions.
Learn it, Riche, they already said that.
Any other comments on the raising of fees?
It's
Like
not
I said,
funny.
we'll
Sorry, this is a
take-
select board meeting,
Hold
not
on.
town
Yeah.
administrator.
Go
meeting.
ahead.
Mark Murdo, I think in the future, if you guys bring this stuff up, the person, administrator in charge of this should be present. I don't care if they're working in another town or where they're working. They should be present here to be able to answer answers why and explain things that you guys are not able to.
You know, like I said, Our transfer station personnel has a personal
medical thing.
medical
You got
issue
backup?
for tonight.
You have someone that backs up behind them. Just like you get the police department, they have someone, the fire department has someone to back them up. So that's just an
We don't-
excuse.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So,
That happened this morning.
Ian Thayer, I really think there needs to be a lot more accountability here. This is our money, and you guys need to like be here prepared. You know, this it's a big deal.
like I said, we had this public hearing to get your comments. We received your comments. We will take that under consideration. If we have to have another public hearing, if we come up and
Or
change.
you could just
bring-
leave them the same.
Right, or
The
leave
board
them the
can
same.
and discuss them, you can
You know.
leave them the same, and that's what the revenues would be.
Yeah,
We don't have to cover expenses, or try to cover expenses,
you know, it just will cost you more
or.
in the long, you know, in the long run.
Sean Kelly, Hillsborough. Sorry for coming in late. I don't know if anybody already addressed this, but if these fees go up too much, people won't even use the transfer station. You know, they'll just start illegally dumping also. So that's a big factor. You know, I mean, that's such an increase that I can see we're gonna find mattresses on the back roads, TVs, air conditioners, stuff like that.
And there's nothing we can do about that. It
Well, except
happened
for
when,
not raising the-
years ago, when we, started charging for tires. All of a sudden, there's tires all over the place. It's something I have no control over, you know? No control over it whatsoever.
But it's a service that, you know, we should consider it a service, not, you know, something that is mandatory, I guess.
So, any other comments? Go ahead.
Are batteries a revenue item to the transfer station?
No.
They are not a
They
revenue
are,
item.
they have a lot of value to them, and that needs to be looked into.
They gave you court charges at
Stop,
the.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
No, no,
whoa,
right,
whoa.
I'm talking
Whoa,
regular
whoa.
batteries, not the court charge batteries.
Whoa,
the
whoa,
regular
whoa, whoa, whoa.
batteries.
Stop all this. It's one comment at a time, not back and forth, okay? Direct all comments to the board, okay?
For clarification, I'm talking regular household batteries, AA's, C, D. Do we receive revenue for the recycling of those batteries?
I don't think so.
You don't know for sure.
I don't know for sure.
I don't believe so.
I don't think we do. You know, the new batteries, they're costing us money. These lithium batteries, we have to recycle them, we can't throw them in our regular trash. So they have to be, you know, disposed of properly, and that's something that increases our costs all, you know, when it comes up, those costs increase, so we have to, you know, you want your taxes to pay for somebody else's batteries. That's what it comes down to, you know? The user, if you have those batteries and you wanna dispose of them, you need to pay for them. Go ahead.
Wouldn't these questions be on the reporting from department heads? What are we getting money for? What are our expenses? Wouldn't that be detailed in the report?
In their report,
Yeah,
at the end of the year, for their,
Transfer
Yeah.
station
Yeah.
has that.
they
yeah,
have,
I mean, they have,
Yeah.
so if there isn't a line for other things that we're getting money back for, then maybe we need to, as some of these people are saying, maybe we should be looking into getting money back.
well, that's what the
Well, that battery.
yeah, the advisory committee for the transfer station, that's what they look into,
Okay,
okay?
and they haven't done that yet, is what I think I'm hearing.
They've done it in the past for different things, that's why you don't have plastics. This,
Because it wasn't worth the money.
it was costing you money to get rid of them, and it was cheaper to send them to the incinerator.
Okay. And to the last thing, to key on the other gentleman's point, people are not gonna use a transfer station. Okay, that's true, but you're also gonna have more and more people just not wanting to deal with it and getting their own trash removal, right? Then you can have people arguing, yeah, what are my taxes paying for, right? I'm not getting the service for the transfer station. It's gonna be a lot easier for me if I just get a dumpster and have someone come and get it, right? So you can have more people irritated that their
That's your-
taxes aren't worth
That's
anything.
your choice.
I know, I get that, but I'm just relaying the other fact, besides for dumping, which you still have to pay for, you're gonna have other people who are gonna be irritated and say, all right, again, I'm not getting what I put, here's my taxes, what are my taxes giving me? Nothing. Right, roads, sidewalks aren't always fixed, roads aren't fixed, right, for the amount of money that we pay, and as one person said, it's getting up there in the 8,000s, here it's gonna get close soon for quite a few people, especially those who got a huge increase. And the assessor never came to most of the houses I know of. They went to the street and looked up and went, oh, yeah, okay. And that was it.
Like I said,
So-
that's-
I mean, I know I'm mixing, this is for the transfer fees, but
we're not, we're not aware of how they put it together. The assessors do that, that's why we hire them. These are questions for them, and we need to bring them in and
who
have a
hires
meeting.
them? Who
My
hires them?
question, in there, if you
Yeah.
don't know what they're doing, why are you hiring them?
So if we do a revow, it's, may I?
Yep, go ahead.
If you haven't had any changes to your home, and there are pickups, some people do work, there are pickups, they need to take a look at that. And there hasn't been any changes to your home because you haven't pulled a building permit or whatever. Typically, they will not have to go into your home for a revow because it's done with market value, local sales, those types of things. They analyze the sales, they take a look at what your property is, they do like a market analysis.
Right.
And so they don't have a reason to go in your home. That being said, I guess then they would miss if you're deteriorating, if your house is deteriorating. If you've painted it and you kept it up nice inside, that's really, it doesn't add to that value unless you added square footage or added something like a bathroom. But you would have pulled a permit, so they would have done a pickup on it. They do look at the outside to see if there's deterioration or not, because then they give you a value adjustment on your tax card. And they look at the neighborhood too. Sometimes there are neighborhoods that are pristine, sometimes there is a mixed, and some aren't as pristine. So then there's also a factor in for that. That's why they don't necessarily go in your property. If you have a new home, and you're building a new home and it's not complete, when April comes around, they do take a look and they value what is there. And then the following year, if you now are done, they'll take a look again and value everything that's there. So sometimes they will measure again, so that'll be done on the outside. They don't need to go inside to do that. So that's why you may not see them go in. They really don't want, maybe it's just a personal thing. I don't like people in my house that I don't really know. But
I have a question
So,
in there. So these guys are coming onto our property unannounced?
well, it depends. Typically they put it out there and they let the police know that they're going around the properties. They'll send cards out. If they need to get into properties, they ask you to call them. If they go on your property, if you have a no trespassing, obviously they're not going to go on your property. But if they're measuring, the word gets out there. We do put it out if we know that they're going to be measuring properties. But doesn't mean that they go on every property. Because again, if you haven't done anything, made changes to your property, they may not have a reason to go on. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Lachey Holcomb again. So, given that you said we aren't getting any revenue for the batteries, there's a couple of things, because I seem to recall you and I having a conversation where you said you were taking those batteries and you were able to get some money for them over at Staples. You were able to get some credits or money. But the state of New Hampshire does have a few grants that are available for household hazardous waste, and I would think that if you're able to get money, the town should be able to get money as well. So I just looked it up, and there is a grant available from the state for household hazardous waste collection. So maybe we can look at this grant to see if maybe we can get some grant money to help offset some of the transfer station costs instead of hitting the taxpayers. So,
It's something we looked at, and as far as getting money from Staples, it's $3 a month.
okay, but you're still getting it. Does everybody have the opportunity to go in and take those
That's because I make the
batteries?
effort and go.
Do we all know that?
As for you to know, I know it, you can find it out for
Chair knows
yourself
that.
too,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah,
All I have to
but-
do is do the research.
I think it would be important for the taxpayers if we tried to get some grant money that the state was willing to give for this household hazardous waste, so that we can help offset the cost of our transfer station, which is revenue for us taxpayers. That's not coming out of our pockets. It's coming from the state, which that kind of already came out of our pockets. So, because it probably came from the federal government, and that came out of our pockets. So let's take some of that money back that already came out of our pocket that the state's holding on to, and let's bring it to our community so that our taxpayers have some relief, please.
We'll see what we can do. Anybody else have any questions tonight? If not, I'm gonna close the public hearing at 7:10. I thank you all for coming tonight. All right. Old business.
That's so helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
And, sure, I don't think so, but you can go bring it in.
All night last night. Usually it's an easy job.